Florida State Seminoles versus the Florida Gators. Pink is a Florida State guy. He went to Florida State.
For many years.
All right.
Seven, in fact.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And I'm a Gator. I'm a Gator fan. I grew up in the Gator culture, and I never had a chance to become a fan of anyone else.
So how did that happen? Like
that is interesting.
Your parents were?
No. It's just when you're a kid growing up in Florida, I just feel like you have to pick one of the big three. Yeah. And for me, I can't tell you the moment, but it was just the Gators. It's a weird comparison, and I may get in trouble for it. But it's almost like the people, the LGBTQ. They say they were born that way, and I think I was born a Gator. I can't tell you a specific moment. I can't tell you a player. Like 76ers, I can tell you Allen Iverson is the sole reason why I'm still a 76ers fan. Priest Holmes is the sole reason why I'm still a Kansas City Chiefs fan to this day.
So so who was the Gator coach when you first remember kind of following the Gators?
Following the Gators, I remember as just Spurrier. I'm not sure if he was the active coach at that time, but that is the first coach.
So that would have been the 90s.
Yeah.
The mid-90s.
Yeah.
So I get that. That's appealing.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah,
I figure, looking at this, I figured that you either had to get in the Spurrier era or you had to get in the Meyer era. And if you don't get in one of those two, there's no reason.
Probably is no reason.
Yeah, you would be straight.
Unless you're just a family.
You would have been straight.
I would have been straight.
But yeah, because there's just nothing going on, as far as that goes. Yeah. So I figured it had to be one of the two. I mean, the Gators under Spurrier were fun. They were cool. Yeah. So I get that, and I would have accepted, if you said the Urban Meyer stuff, but yeah, I don't know. That's pretty interesting. I wish there was a better story to that.
No better story.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just the way with a lot of the Florida State, Florida, and Miami fans. I think that's the way.
Probably they grew up here. So I grew up in Connecticut, and I went to Florida State from Connecticut, and it was like, and I'll say this: I was a Miami fan, and the first year I was in FSU in 1989. The Hurricanes came to Tallahassee to play. And I rooted for the Hurricanes. Yeah. That first game. In fact, I was really obnoxious, and some chick was turned around and said something to me. So I just grabbed her head and I turned it back around. And then the guy she was with got all upset in my face, and I threatened to kill him. So
that's an experience.
Yeah, but no, and FSU actually won the game. So by the next year, I was rooting for FSU.
Exactly.
Nah, but you become immersed in it when you're on campus. I think it's hard not to have that sort of impression on you. But yeah, where we are as a team, I've been very pleased this year. Mm-hmm. We've been bad since 2017, I think. End of Jimbo through the Willie Taggart era, and then Norvell got off to a tough start. But I'll say this: we were 0-4 last year, and I remember feeling it at the time. He gave an impassioned speech about just getting things right, and over the next couple weeks, you could feel the team continue to play. They started to win a few games, and what I noticed as a coach is that over the end of last year, they were all talking like he did. Any player that spoke was talking about the same things that all little Norvell's little mantras that he has out there. And I was like, for this guy not to lose a team at 0-4 in year 2 and then have this team really bought in, that was significant. And I felt good about that. And we've seen a lot of that bear out. And this year, we win 4 games in a row for the first time in forever.
Yeah. You're on a 4-game winning streak now.
Well, we started.
Okay.
And then we hit a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And the losses were tough. We kind of just didn't play particularly great against Wake Forest. NC State, we have the game. We're driving for go-ahead field goal and throw a pick.
I caught the last minute of the game.
Clemson, we were down big, rallied late. He didn't lose them again. And now we've won 4 straight. And it's been impressive. It has been positive. And the players, you can just feel and sense that they're bought into things.
And one of those was a complete ass whooping and mismantling of Miami
Yeah.
Hurricanes.
Well, I mean, we beat Miami and Syracuse back-to-back weeks. We didn't give up a touchdown for 11 quarters.
Yeah.
So a lot of positive stuff. Now, I mean, obviously from our perspective, I hope we win Friday night and get to a decent class bowl. But from where we were at 0-4 through the Taggart era and all that to where we are right now, I'm grateful for what they've done. And that's not necessarily going to change on Friday's outcome. I do think we've got the program moving in a positive direction, and I'm just really thrilled about that.
Yeah, Florida State is a good team this year. They're ranked number 16th. Like you said, they won 4 games in a row. Some blowouts along the way in that game stretch. And they're favored by 9.5 on most betting sites right now.
9.5.
With all of the receivers being listed as out for the Gators today, I imagine that's going to go to about 10 to 10.5 by game time. It's not going to be that that make a huge difference in the line, but I'm sure it'll go to at least 10 to 10.5. By the time game time hits, because Florida Gators has about, I believe I saw 5 receivers out.
I saw something on the way to the show about 5 guys being out. And it was I was shocked
from the wide receiver group.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, the Gators for me, this of course is a disappointing season. We got a brand new coach, and he's what we kind of knew it, we feared it, but we were hoping for the best. He's a recruiter. He's a great recruiter, and what we've been getting lately, post Urban Meyer, is we're getting these one-trick guys, the guys that can do one thing very fucking well, and they do everything else very fucking terribly. And we had Muschamp was a great defensive guy, one of the greatest defensive guys we've ever had in the history. I mean, but he was just god awful picking offensive coordinators and managing the offense. Then we had the opposite of that. Dan Mullen was a great play caller. He's a great coach. And things of that nature. But he's a terrible fucking recruiter. He's a terrible motivator. And now we get a guy. The opposite just from the most previous guy we just had. He's an awesome recruiter. We're flipping guys all over the place, and this is going to be our best recruiting class in the last 10 years or so. And we're not even haven't even got started really yet. And but he's a terrible play caller. I mean, he just is. He's a terrible play caller.
Yeah, I mean, we have. I mean, I'll say I don't know your roster probably as well as you do, but I don't feel that you even, I know you're going to be shorthanded Friday, but I don't feel that you have a particularly strong receiving core, and you do have the nice freshman running back, and yet and I don't know how your offensive line's regarded. Is it regarded as average or
average?
I mean, to me, devil's advocate, it may be a situation where he doesn't have what he wants to be the play caller that he can be.
Well, then what about playing to the strength? Well, first of all, he does. Let's go here.
Okay.
Let's go here. He does. He's turning Anthony Richardson. And this is the thing. I said before the season, I liked Anthony Richardson to be in the Heisman race and be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. That was my true, authentic thoughts. And on social media, I said he would be the best. All right, and and break records and things of that nature. First, 3 to 4 games, he probably had like 3-4 total rushes. Last week, he rushed the ball, and let me just make sure I have this right. We lost the game, and to fucking Vanderbilt, and he had 4 rushes. Anthony Richardson is, I don't care what you say, and Marquise tags me. He hasn't tagged me in the last 4 or 5 weeks because Anthony Richardson is throwing for 400 yards last week. He's throwing for 380 yards the week before. He's throwing for 300 yards the week before that. And so I haven't heard from Marquise, first of all. I haven't heard from him. I don't know. Please check on Marquise.
He's got his own problems in Coral Gables.
He may have. I don't know if he passed away. I need to text him and check on him. He hasn't tagged me in anything in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
He's still posting content. He's out there.
But the thing about it is, Anthony Richardson, he's a dynamic runner. He needs to rush the ball more than 4 yards. And some of that it's on Anthony Richardson because they run this zone read offense, and he just always hands it off.
Right.
But if you're the coach, you say, okay, I'm going to force you to run it. I'm going to call 5 design quarterback runs a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. You have Anthony Richardson. I like he's I don't like he whatever you think of him. He has to be top 5 dynamic runners at the quarterback position in college football. He just has to be. When he touches the ball, he's electric. You know what I mean? I just read a stat. He has the most like explosive runs from a quarterback this season, and it's by far he's leading by like 10. You know what I mean? That's just what he is, and that's what we saw last year. So I'm adding that in my mind coming into the season. I'm saying, okay, we have that, and then I assume he's going to become a better passer. So that plus that is going to equal, what
you thought he would be.
But the play calling has just not gone like that. And he has improved as a passer, so I do like that. And with that, yeah, somebody has to be catching the ball. You know what I mean? Yeah. So our receivers are decent enough to have helped Anthony improve in that area. The problem is, and I want to get this out because even more so than play calling, I didn't want to make that as the number one thing because it's not. Yeah. The number one thing is we just have one of the worst defenses in college football, and that's just by any metric. They're fucking terrible. They're fucking god awful. And guys are some guys are leaving the team and they're making like Twitter posts and the Gator fans are like, well, thank you. I mean, you're not doing shit. Go home. Yeah, leave. Transfer. I don't know what the fuck you're going to do anywhere else. They're just god awful. What happened to DBU? We used to be arguing with LSU fans about being DBU. These guys couldn't stop me from catching a pass. They're fucking awful. All right, and that is the number one reason why the Gators are where they're at. I don't want to make it to be the coach. I really try to stay away from blaming coach and play calling and all things like that. But there is a little bit of that going on.
Yeah. No, I mean, my analysis. I mean, they've struggled to consistently stop people. I agree they haven't gotten the most out of Richardson as a runner. I think he's a talented but erratic thrower of the ball.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Again, it's year one. I don't. I mean, it's not my job to have confidence in your coach, but I haven't necessarily lost that. I mean, I would say I think he's doing a lot better than Mario.
I mean, well, yeah, that's not hard to do.
Yeah.
But and I'm not saying fire him or anything like that. I'm the first to drive a train now. I drive a boat. I'm the first, and I'm not on that. I'm not doing that right now. I'm giving him opportunity. This is year one, and I have seen some positives. Don't want to make it seem to be all negative. Like I said, he's an awesome recruiter. Loving what he's bringing in. We haven't had any of that, so let me let me soak that in. It's been a while since we had this many 4-stars signing up here with us. So I'll soak that in and just pray that he brings in a offensive coordinator or something to help him out. Because he's 1,000% going to need that. And in this game coming up here between Florida State and the Gators, I'm just rooting for AR. That's really what I'm rooting for. I think Florida State probably will win. I'm not taking any bets. Guys are just hitting me up left and right.
Are they really?
Left and right in my DMs and texting and shit like that. I say, Vegas says you guys are going to win by 10 points. Give me 10 points and I'll take your bet. You know what I mean? I didn't when Florida State were at its lowest, I wasn't going around and fucking, trying to, take money from my friends that were Florida State fans. That's low of you guys. That really is. It's really low for you to know where we're at and try to steal money from your friends. You know what I mean? Wait till we're somewhat even contemporaries. We have all these injuries and shit like that. So I don't know what to expect, but it is a rivalry, man. So no matter where a team is technically at, it's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
And Florida State is not fucking, they're not Georgia.
No, we're not Georgia.
So, really who knows what can happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you get into the game and you have to see how, both teams respond. I mean, I expect the Gators to be well prepared and emotionally primed for the game. We've been consistently businesslike over the last 4 weeks. So I expect that to be our mentality there, and just grind out possessions, Ben.
And a new thing, they're playing Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday night, which is cool. I mean, I think, we played LSU early in a primetime game. I think it's good for the program and the brand to have a couple of these things and show well. And again, you talk about recruiting. Recruiting is the lifeblood of a college football program.
It really is.
And if your team does not have any buzz, if it's just perceived to be kind of irrelevant, you're in a bad place. And so, to have an opportunity to play Friday night, probably be the only high-profile game on that Friday night, and for either one of these teams to play well is going to be very nice for the trail.
Now, we watched last year's game together.
Yes, we did.
And the Gators won, and Pink, he hit the table so fucking hard, water splashed all over me. So if
when that guy dropped the punt.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, I watched my team beat your team last year. So if you want to relive it and we can link up and watch the game Friday, we can do that. It'll be your decision. I'm not as primed up to watch it as you may be, but
yeah.
But I'll be a good sport.
I'll be a good sport. I appreciate it.
I'll be a good sport.